As you see, they've got a neck on the floor. He's got his hand on her neck.
He's straight out of Wales with the wind in his sails. He's tipping the scales, Silurian trails, revealing their names while he's lifting their veils. Public assails, no one exhales. Won't read in the mail, it's not printed in braille. No bonus for sales, the light will prevail. He's telling the tale while he's hot on the trail. Whole nother scale, he's hammering the nail. He's trolling and rolling the camera and showing the standard that's double. Exposing the bubble, removing the muzzle. He's always got trouble, he's fighting the muscle and solving the puzzle. He's taking the fight and he's spreading the light and he's doing it right, taking dark as the night and he's making it bright and providing insight while he's flooding your eyes like a hare in the headlight.
Step back, please, don't be arrested. Step back. The press, don't even pick on me. Are you watching this? The press aren't allowed to film.
Injustice is served, collar crime is submerged. Don't be absurd, your vision is blurred. He's seen it occur, still right there on the curb. His iPhone record, he's filming the herd. BLM thugs act like cons high on drugs. They wrecking the place, they're smashing the face. He's in with the thick, in with hammers and sticks. Exposing the truth, he's showing the proof. He's trolling and rolling the camera and showing the standard that's double. Exposing the bubble, removing the muzzle. He's always got trouble, he's fighting the muscle and solving the puzzle. He's taking the fight and he's spreading the light and he's doing it right, taking dark as the night and he's making it bright and providing insight while he's flooding your eyes like a hare in the headlight.
You just don't want to see it there. You just don't want to see the violence. You don't want to see the violence on some of those people. 3 people on a woman.
Support for the vets, pray unless we forget the pain he besets and the truth he projects. He's a victim of threats, but he never regrets. Live stream the upsets, no printing gazettes. He's taken the test, got the pedo's address. No south, east or west, he streams the protest. No news is suppressed, the whole truth is expressed. Twin standards he tests, he's facing arrest. He's trolling and rolling the camera and showing the standard that's double. Exposing the bubble, removing the muzzle. He's always got trouble, he's fighting the muscle and solving the puzzle. He's taking the fight and he's spreading the light and he's doing it right, taking dark as the night and he's making it bright and providing insight while he's flooding your eyes like a hare in the headlight.
There's 4, 5 on one. There's 2 on a girl. They pinned her to the floor. This one's getting a bully boy tactics. Must from the TSG probably. Sergeant, yeah.
Evening all. Nice to be back. Sorry I've been away for such a long time. Well, it's 3 months now, isn't it, folks? I went on holiday. I've had a little bit of a break. And I was a little bit ill as well, so I've taken a little bit of a time out. I've still carried on with my lives for PCP Wales and 1 or 2 other things. But obviously, could you all please share, folks? That is the first thing. That is definitely the first thing, because obviously, you know, the lowering the feeds, it does affect the viewing figures and stuff like that, and getting it out there, folks. So if you could please all share, it'd be great. I have got a really good guest on tonight. Her name's PCP Wales. She was there from the start, and basically they've got him into the High Court on the 15th and 16th. But first of all, let's answer one of the comments, is it? Oh, Facebook, it's a joke really, folks. Anyway, I love the trolls. Barbaric thugs. What? Because we're against sex education, is it, folks? Facebook user. You haven't got the balls to put your own name up, have you? You can hide behind the name, and that's about it. Troll. Probably the same person trying to get in one of his other friends. Probably, God knows. Oh, right. Sorry, Facebook user. I thought you were on about barbaric thugs by looking at. I have no idea. I have to apologise. I don't know who you are, but if you let me know in the comments, I imagine I will have a few trolls on, maybe on YouTube, but I find it quite amusing. I'm just back. I'm a bit slow doing. I wasn't even going to be sure if this was going to work, because I've changed my network provider, like for my Wi-Fi now, because I was on such a the thugs are the police. Yeah, they are, definitely. All they do is work for a corrupt government. Who's this? Please give me a clue, because I've probably been on about 200 to 300 demos over the last 4 years, and I've met a lot of people on protests. So I wouldn't know otherwise. Sorry. Yeah, folks, if you could all please share. I will get to sharing myself when Lucia is sharing herself, like do me. But it's been a pretty good. I'm going to bring her on. I am.
Hello, Phil. How are you doing?
Not too bad. This me having a go at Facebook.
I was laughing when I seen it. Now everybody's coming up as Facebook user. Now this sometimes happens when we share it in our group, you know, like when we do it off StreamYard and we share it into the our education page, and everybody that comments there is coming up as Facebook user, but it looks like everyone you've got here is doing the same. So if everyone can put your name afterwards, like Louise has done there, that would be really good.
Or if you jump on, I might be able to see your names if you jump on Real News Live News on Facebook directly, or if you jump onto my YouTube page, which is Real News Live News. But if you can't get on Real News Live News, you might be able to get on if you try Demo Welshman, and I will be live on there as well. And I'll be able to see all your comments. I'll be able to see all your names. Sometimes it is a bit difficult because I've shared it to 6 different places to start off with, and they all got different. How can I put it? People will respond to different ones, and I can't see them all. I can only see a certain amount of them. Okay. Would you like?
Everyone's as Facebook users, and then the first person says "thug, barbaric thugs."
Well, I'm so used to
people. The barbaric thug before.
Well, I'm so used to people having a go at me for different reasons for what demos I go on. I kind of expect it sometimes, but I haven't got my main admin on today, so it's a bit of a problem. But I have got one of my other ones. There's our girl. That's probably good.
I've got no idea who you are, but thank you.
What did I say? I'm a CSA survivor and I'm being victimised by South Wales police animals. Sorry to hear that, Facebook user. I think we've all been abused by South Wales police along the way somewhere. They should be doing their jobs and arresting these politicians and councillors, as far as I'm concerned. But that
really does need to be something done about it. Like I can't believe it's been allowed to go this far. And you know, it would have. Hey, we've got Emma there. Hey, Emma. Name has actually come up.
Emma, which platform are you on? Which group are you in? So everybody else can join, and I can see all your photos and your pictures then, and I know who I'm talking to. So if you could let me know, that'd be great. Sorry, it was a quick comment. Should have made it clear. Yeah, no worries. It's my fault. There you go. Jackson just put up www.publicchildprotectionwales.org. Now, folks, if you want to get more information after the show, this is their webpage you should go to, because at the end of the day, they've got everything on there regarding the sex education. Well, I'll let Lucia talk about it, and what I'll do is I'll start sharing.
Okay, brilliant, Phil. So I don't know, shall I just do a really quick introduction of what we're about?
Yeah.
And I'll make it really quick because a lot of people already know who we are. So, as you know, my name's Lucia. I'm a member at PCP Wales, and we've been, Public Child Protection Wales, and we've been campaigning against the RSE, which has now come into schools. We did a lot of campaigning throughout the last 2 years in the lockdowns, etc., right into local MPs, right into schools, expressing our concerns to the members of Parliament. But, you know, we weren't really getting anywhere, which you would expect. They passed it anyway. We even filled out the consultation, and the consultation for this RSE to be passed with the no parental opt-out, there was actually an overwhelming amount of people who were opposing it, but they passed it anyway. However, so we've got to this point now where the RSE is it's in all schools. So we have got 5 very brave parents who are taking the Welsh Government to court. One of those claimants is Kimberly, who is the chair of PCP Wales. And that is happening next week, which is on the 15th and the 16th of November. So we are urging everybody and their dog to get down to the courts, or because you can do this as well, opt to watch it virtually. So there is an email, which I think I should put on you before I sign off. I'll let you know what that email is, to email the courts directly, and you can actually get a space then on the virtual gallery. It's really important to have loads of people watching, because we don't want the court. Sorry, did you want me to stop? There we are. Oh. Phil, you are so organised. This here, if everyone can see it, the email, I can't. My eyes are really bad. I don't know if anyone can see that, but I do need glasses.
Whereabouts is the email on it?
The emails are after number 2, point 2, and then it's got it says any sent by email to, and then it's got an address there.
Well, I'm sure people can actually go onto the web page anyway, and they can get all the information off your web page. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is. If it's not on our website, it'll be on our it's definitely on our Facebook page. That actual document there. So that's Public Child Protection Wales page. I'm not sure if it is uploaded on the website, but I can quite easily do that once I come off the show. It's really important as well, if you are going to watch it virtually, that you send it in before 4 p.m. on Friday. Otherwise, they might refuse you access, because they need to get themselves organised. They know there's going to be a lot of people watching, because when we sent the original email on, there was over 200 people already wanting to go into that, go into that digital space, if that makes sense. So it is really important that everyone's watching, because we don't want the court to just brush this under the carpet. It's a really important court case, and it's a really sensitive and important issue. Now, we do know, Phil, don't we, that with the courts, they may go in the favour that is not necessarily the best for public interest if no one's watching. Dare I say it, this does happen where the courts may be corrupt. This does happen. So that is why we need as many people as possible watching it, because we've got more of a chance of the court making a more fair choice. Oh God, sorry, I can't think of my words. I'm really tired this evening.
It's all right.
The judge will judge it in a more fair light if the public are watching, because public opinion means everything. So that's why we need you all there, listening in, being knowledgeable of what the case is about. This is what we need now, because public opinion is more important. Public opinion is even more important than a winning court. It's the most important, because even if we do come out that courtroom losing and there's a sea of people when we go out, then it's a win, because when the public is agreeing with us, then politicians that cannot argue with that. Public opinion is the most important. Kim has put something up here which has got I can read it properly now. The email there is sasha.ragen@justice.gov.uk. So that is the email you have to send your request to, and it has to be done by 4 p.m. on Friday, the 11th of November, which is this Friday. If you can make it down to the courts, that is brilliant, because we do want to fill Cardiff with a sea of people, lots of noise, and we want everyone who is passing you to be thinking, what's going on here? Obviously getting more attention. But we've had quite a few updates on the court case in the last couple of weeks. So do you want me to go through that now, Phil?
Yeah, please.
Yes. So
very good. It's very good news, mine, isn't it?
Well, yes, it is good news. So the Muslim community decided to put an intervention in. So an intervention is where there's another there'll be another party that can actually be heard on the case. So the Muslim community, and that this involved all the many Muslim mothers and fathers in Wales, and also 10 leaders of 10 mosques. So that actually accounts for a quarter of all mosques in Wales. So they all signed this statement to be heard in the court, and we heard some fantastic news. Was it yesterday? Because I'm losing track of days. I think it was yesterday or the day before that that intervention had been granted by the court. So we were absolutely delighted because we didn't think this was going to happen. We said to when the Muslims had said that they were going to put that in, we had actually received some bad news that a previous intervention that wanted to help our case by Let's Kids Be Kids had been refused. So there was a little bit of feeling that this would be refused as well. But the Muslim community did put it through anyway, and great that they did, because that has actually been accepted. So that means Muslim community, your voices are going to be heard in this case, and that's absolutely brilliant, because we've got the Muslims in there. We've got one Christian family as a claimant as well. So the religious side has been, religion is actually a protective characteristic. So, their beliefs when it comes to things like this has got to be taken into account. So we're absolutely delighted that the court has accepted that. We do know, however, that the Welsh Government are trying to revoke this intervention. So we do know they're trying to do that. We don't think they will succeed, because obviously the court has already granted it. So yeah, very sly of the Welsh Government. And who do they think they are, trying to shut the voices of, a religious community? It doesn't look good on them, doesn't it?
At the end of the day, they're shutting the voices down for a big majority of this country who are actually religious. So it's not just the Muslim community. I'm sure the church will be looking at this as well and thinking to themselves, well, we should do something as well.
Yeah.
Because personally, I think all the more religions you've got going into that court, I'm fighting for our corner, all the better. It doesn't matter what religion there is.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, every belief should be every belief matters, if whatever religion you belong to, or if you don't belong to religion, your voice matters, doesn't it?
I think we'll change the subject now. We're being told off. Yeah, well, Christians, at the end of the day, we need everybody outside our courtroom on the 15th and 16th. We need every single person outside. If you're a parent or a grandparent, you've got no excuse. I know there's a couple of people coming from England coming down. Somebody I know is booking a mega bus. Their daughter is coming down. But we need everybody to it's not just Wales is fighting this cause. We've got the court case in Wales. It's the Welsh Government we're taking to court. But what people got to realise is we need their support to turn up on the day to show boots on the ground for the rest of the country. Because if PCP Wales wins, then that opens the door for the rest of the country and for the other 51 countries who've had this global rollout pushed onto them.
Absolutely, yeah, and that is the plan. We want to get it out of Wales first, and then everybody else follows suit, because there are people in England and in other parts of the UK that might think, this is nothing to. We have got a. I thought I switched off then. I thought I came off the Wi-Fi then. If we have a win in Wales, then that's huge for every other country. That's gonna send shockwaves. You know, we've said this all along. It's not just a Wales fight, it's a UK fight. And in fact, it can be a worldwide fight, because if one country can get it out, that doesn't stop any other country getting it out. And, you know, some of these countries, they've been suffering this sex education for years. You know, we hear horror stories all the time, especially when we're going over to America and hear some of the things that have been going on, you know, sort of within the school systems there. In fact, with the American schools, I was listening to something the other day, and I have heard it before actually, where parents had, you know, only kind of got aware of what was going on in the classrooms in the lockdown, because they were having the homework, or they were having the schoolwork brought home in front of the computer. And they were actually really shocked. They had no idea that their children were learning all this information. And, you know, when they did go to the schools and complain, you know, the schools were just fobbing them off, you know. So, you know, it was like even the things with the transgenderism, you know, pushing that, and, you know, and the sexualization. There's lots of elements of this that is concerning. And, you know, when parents are just finding out on the off chance, they're not being told beforehand, that's really shocking. And we are actually finding that now, where parents are requesting school information. They want the content before it goes in front of the school, you know, in front of their children. And, you know, they're getting like mixed responses coming back from the schools. Some are just not really responding at all. Some are saying they haven't got any content ready yet. It hasn't been written up, which seems a little bit strange, because if you can remember, Phil, when we tried to do that, tried to stop the rollout back in the end of August, the Welsh Government said they couldn't possibly do that because everything was organised. But schools are now saying that they haven't actually written up their curriculum. So, you know, someone's lying there. We know that.
Well, we know what's going on, and parents, well, not parents, PCP Wales are not stupid. They've researched, they've checked other countries for the curriculum, like Scotland. They've had it for a number of years. England's had it for a number of years. But what I'm going to say is, Scotland and England and Ireland, they've still got the opt out, but we got hit the hardest from the beginning. So it's only going to get more difficult for them when they realise that they haven't got an opt out.
Yeah.
Am I right? So they need to get on board with the Welsh, standing toe to toe with us, doing against the Welsh Government, and showing numbers outside that courtroom. And I think it's going to take 3 days, not 2. I can't see it being done in 2 days, because if you remember when he went to the High Court in London, it was a day and a bit, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Did that run over, didn't it?
But you've got 5 claimants. Their statements have to be read. They have to be scrutinised. I mean, I think it's going to take a little bit longer than that, to be honest with you.
I think you could be right, actually, Phil, because as you said, there's going to be a lot more scrutiny with this. You know, the judge has got to go through every bit of evidence here. So I think you could well be right there. Hopefully not, but if it goes on to the 3rd day, then so be it. As you know, as long as it goes in our favour, I'm happy. Yeah,
definitely. Well, we need it to go in our favour, because at the end of the day, if you could explain to the viewers what the curriculum is to start from the ages of 3 and 4. Am I correct in saying, I don't want to get this wrong, because it might be classed as misinformation.
Well,
self-stimulation.
Well, put it this way, Phil. No class content hasn't been publicly published. So, you know, the Welsh Government have been very sly about what's coming in the schools, because they've legislated for this before the content has actually come out and is publicly available. So, you know, we we can see public available resources that have come fresh from England and Scotland. And if anyone in Wales think that we're going to be any different to England and Scotland, you've got another thing coming. We've got a Labour government, you know, you can't get more liberal than a Labour government. So, you know, we know we're going the same way, if not worse, than the other countries. I don't think you can really get any worse, because what you were saying then about the self-stimulation, this did happen in England in 2018. They had the All About Me schools. It was scrapped because of obviously the inappropriate nature. This lesson it was for 5 to 6 year olds, but some of them was as early as 4. It was talking about self-stimulation, and well, they actually called it was actually a note there, a poster which was used in the classrooms that said, you know, it's not polite to do it in front of anyone else. It's a bit like picking your nose. You do it in your own private environment. So many things wrong with that, because obviously you're now encouraging a whole classroom of children to self-stimulate, which is, you know, when children are doing things like that, it can be addictive. It can be addictive, you know, children playing with themselves. You know, it's not something that should be encouraged. And also it's a huge barrier to disclosure, which means that sometimes when children are sexually abused, they will do things in front of people that are a bit strange, like self-stimulation, because they are copying something that has been done in private. Children don't necessarily, you know, they can't keep things to themselves. You know, they act out in front of people. So by the teachers teaching them this, not one teacher in those 242 schools could see that that was actually a barrier to disclosure, which really does show that safeguarding training needs to be increased massively with teachers if they couldn't see that. So we do know that definitely happened. As for it going on in Wales, we've heard things off the record that children as young as 6 has, you know, sort of done this in the home and said that their teacher, but that is off the record. Obviously, you know, it's not.
At the end of the day, can we just stop this saying self-stimulation? Can we just say what it actually is? It's called masturbation.
Yeah.
But it's just a typical woke government or a woke councils just changing the word slightly to make it sound a lot better when it's actually not better. Self-stimulation is masturbation. And to teach 3-year-olds, 3 and 4-year-olds upwards, it is pretty sick. Why aren't they starting on the 14, 15 and 16 instead of hitting the 3-year-olds straight away in Wales and going for the older age group, which they're basically telling us, this sex education is basically to stop pregnancies, STIs, stuff like that. Bullshit. Why are you hitting 3 and 4-year-olds?
This is exactly it, because that's how they put this across, haven't they? This education, it's to stop teenage pregnancies and STIs. Well, why have they legislated it for the 3-year-olds and not like the 14 and 15-year-olds? They're not going to have it for another. It sort of goes up in stages, doesn't it? So I think it's not going to hit, you know, the 15, 16-year-olds until 2026. So why are we in 2022 making sure that the 3-year-olds have got it? It don't make any sense whatsoever. There's this huge obsession almost as well, that every school, they are admitting to this. So this is on the record. They are admitting that they are teaching about correct terminology for genitals. And they seem to think that this is a really good idea because it's going to safeguard a child. It's going to allow a child to confidently disclose abuse if there is abuse going on. What they don't realize is that what they just said it does, they are allowing children to confidently talk about their genitals to adults, to children, to get the conversation going. Why are we allowing children, or why are we encouraging children to do that? Can't people see the dangers in that? There's huge dangers in it. You know, this is how predators prey on the children. They gain their trust first, and they get them comfortable talking about it. And, you know, also all children have got access to the internet. So what sort of pornographic images do you expect them to pull up if they know the correct terminology?
Well, that's something else. Like, do you mean they're at, the reports in Scotland, they are actually getting homework regarding pornographic material. I mean,
Yeah,
where they have to do the research. Now, if you think Scotland's got it and we're not going to get it, well, you're actually going to be very wrong in the matter, because that's what's going to actually happen. The kids are going to come home from school, they're going to jump onto their laptops, and the first thing they're going to start doing is their homework. And it's going to be about porn.
it's absolutely shocking. And in fact, Kirsty Williams did liken our curriculum to Scotland's going back a couple of years ago, when they were first sort of like talking about it. So Scottish curriculum as well, it's all published on their website, rhsp.scot. All the lesson content is there, and it clearly shows from 5 years old they are teaching children what sexual intercourse is. That is absolutely disgusting. No 5-year-old needs to know that. So I just don't understand where the logic is coming from. And as she said, as they get a bit older, then they are, learning about porn. Why would you even, a child in school from the age of 3 to 16, none of those children should be accessing porn. They certainly shouldn't be taught to define it in a school classroom.
It's illegal.
It is illegal, yes.
And it's illegal for a teacher for them to blink and do it. I'm sure it's got to be illegal for a teacher to turn around and tell them, here's your homework. You go and search on porn when you go home. To me, what different types of porn, like BDSM and everything else that goes along with it. It's got to be illegal.
You would think so, because when we're talking about abuse as well, this abuse of children is non-contact contact as well, non-contact, as just showing them inappropriate material is abuse in itself, and it certainly can be detrimental to them. Imagine being sort of as young as 11 and seeing pornographic images. I remember when I was 20 and the first time I had I was in university, and a group of friends, the boys we used to know, and I walked in and they had a porn on. Do you know, that image, I was absolutely, it did actually, I was disgusted, because it was like a woman I felt that was being degraded by all these men around her. And I was quite disgusted with her. I just wanted to get that image out of my head. Now, the thought of an 11-year-old child seeing that, being exposed to that, I just don't know how a young mind, a mind that young could cope with it. Now, people who are supporting the RSC, they claim that because of this huge access, easy access to pornography, that's the reason why they need this RSC, which is absolute nonsense. We need pornography to be impossible to access for children. Yeah. That's what we need. Why aren't the government doing more about that? Why? And also, why is this porn industry so out of control? It's so disturbing. Whose interest is this industry for? Because we're not just talking about just, two people having sex. It's quite disturbing, isn't it? It's quite disturbing, some of the things, we're talking about multiple people, even, I don't know, animals and all sorts, and even children are abused on these sites as well. So whose interest is that for? It's certainly not for the likes of you and me, Phil, no. So it should be stopped, full stop. This world is disturbing, and if there's anything that we can do to make this world a better place, it would be conquering that pornography industry first and foremost, not encouraging children to be sexual, because that destroys, especially girls. It does destroy people.
At the end of the day, right, you've got to be 18 to watch porn, right?
Yeah.
So how can a teacher tell a child of, say, 12, 13 to go home, do a research on different types of porn when it's actually illegal to do it? These porn companies or different groups, they shouldn't. You're not meant to access it. You have to press a button, or you have to provide proof. You should provide proof. That's what it should be. But I think you just have to touch to say you're 18. but it's 18 to see porn on the internet. Now, how can a teacher tell a kid to go and do homework and research and go onto these porn sites? It's mind-boggling. They are breaking the law.
They are, and like I know what you're talking about, Phil. You're talking about, there was an article, wasn't there, going back, gosh, I think it was last year, where it was an older brother that had walked in his younger sister's room, and he was like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just doing my homework." And that's what it had: define soft porn, define hard porn, and she was researching it. And when this was brought to the school's attention, well, obviously, you know, the parents had, because this young girl was only 11. They said that the school claimed, "Oh no, they weren't meant to research it. We had all the resources there." Now, I dread to think what those resources were, but as secondary as well, children are encouraged to research. Okay, no matter what they have with homework, they're encouraged to research and look at things themselves. So how they can just turn around and say, "Oh, she wasn't meant to research that. The details were there." What are they on about? That's what schools always encourage. So, you know, it's dark, Phil. It's really dark.
That's not the only issue. At the end of the day, at the age of 5, now between 4 and 5 and 6, this is where we start talking about genders.
Yeah.
Now this really, really does my head in. Right, I've got to give you an example. I put a post out earlier on in the week. If an archaeologist dug up your bones in 1,000 years' time, by your DNA on your bone structure, and by your bone structure, they can tell whether you were male or female. They cannot tell you about the other 150 genders because there's no such thing. Biology. I mean, biology will tell you there's only 2 genders. So where they're pushing in schools now, 4 to 5-year-olds, to because it's all over the news. Doctors are saying, well, we're getting it wrong. We're just guessing. I saw a doctor on the other day, and he's saying it should be up to the child to choose their gender at the age of 5. They shouldn't have a gender until then. Now this is what we're talking about, a doctor here, and I'm thinking to myself, if you're a doctor and you don't know if it's a boy or a girl, you shouldn't be in that profession. It's simple as that.
Absolutely. And to be honest, this is a huge concern of the education. If I've said this before, like if my child, who's 12 now, if this education had been in when she was 5 or 6, she was a tomboy. You know, she wanted to be just like her brother. She wanted to wear football kits. She wanted to play football. There's nothing wrong with a girl wanting to do that. We did used to call her a tomboy sometimes, you know, she was always like running about like a lunatic, you know, but she was just a child. But if this education had been in when she was younger, I actually fear for the outcome, because she would have thought that, you know, or perhaps I am a boy. She would have genuinely thought that. And we have actually already had reports back from parents saying that their children very recently are coming out with strange things, saying that they want to be the opposite sex. And I've heard that now. There's been several parents who have come back and said that since these lessons have started. And children don't just, you know, children are children. If a boy prefers to play with dolls, you just leave them to it, you know? Sometimes it's a case that, you know, if a boy's there and he's got all sisters, the chances are he probably is going to play with the girl toys, you know? Especially, you know, if they got like an older sister as well, they may look up to them. There's cases where, you know, maybe dad isn't about and it's just all girls in the family and he wants to be, you know, you're going to have circumstances like that. But this education is really putting ideas into children's heads, and then it's informing the parents, saying that it's all about inclusivity and acceptance. And we know that it's more sort of sinister than acceptance. Children will accept anyone, okay? You don't need to drum it into them that, oh, this is this type of person, this is this type of person. If you want to teach children to be kind, you teach them to be kind to everyone, full stop. That's all you need to say. You don't need to explain, what do they say now? 100 plus genders? That doesn't even make sense. Even someone who is someone who has gone through the transition Well, what do they transition from? They transition from a man to a woman or vice versa. There is only two genders, full stop. And by confusing children by all this ideologies is not helping anyone.
Why are we appeasing the LGBT community? Because this gender ideology is LGBTQ plus. It don't matter what you say, that's what it is, and it's fact. That's what's pushing this. And why are we? They are the minority. Let's get that straight. And they don't realise. Well, gay for groomers, for instance, they're well in support of against this sex education because they realise what damage this can do to kids. And if you look at Scotland, 1,400% now. The rise in transgender has risen.
Yeah, exactly.
And they want to do it to our kids. That all it's actually doing is breaking the family unit up, and LGBTQ plus are enjoying this, along with Peter Thatcher, who's got no bloody kids.
No, I know. And this is the thing, it's people with no children, people with no children who have not got, you know, I would want to be checking their computer at home, put it that way, their hard drive. There don't seem to be, I certainly wouldn't be leaving my children with them. They've got more influence over our children's education than we do. We should be really concerned about that. There's, you know, who is Peter Tatchell? Well, he's a gay man. He had, what do you call it? He did a lot of work for gay rights going back in the, I don't even know the years. I think it was like before the 2000s. Now he is pushed for the no parental opt-out. He doesn't think the parents should have a right to withdraw their children from sex education classes. We also know that there's a video of him where he is speaking publicly saying that sex with a 9-year-old boy isn't necessarily harmful, and he said an example of one of his friends who had a sexual relationship as a 9-year-old boy, and he thought it was perfectly okay. He's also tried his best to reduce, lower the age of consent. Now, this man is a very dangerous man. He's dangerous to all children, yet he has got more influence over your children's education than you as parents.
Yeah, he's definitely a dangerous man. Like you said, he's got no children. He's trying to influence the group he's involved with, and also the LGBTQ obviously are jumping on this as well. Like, I mean, because let's put it straight. This RSE, as far as I can see, it's based off paedophilia. It don't matter how you put it. It's based off paedophilia. The research came from paedophilia. It came from the research was done on people, paedophiles in prisons and stuff like that. And also, he actually did his own experiments as well. So, at the end of the day, and I see that kid Alfred Kinsey group on Facebook, and it makes me sick. It actually makes me sick. Because they're still talking on there and just think it's normal. They need to grow up and they need to read that book of his.
It's absolutely, it is really disturbing, isn't it? Like how many people are out there trying to normalize this type of behavior. Now, we do know that organization called Mermaids, where one of the members, Jacob Baslow, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Now, he was exposed as speaking at a pro-paedophilia conference going back some years ago, and he was forced to I think he did resign rather than get sacked, because, you know, obviously he's meant to be in an organization that's, you know, for children. So I had a bit of an argument, a bit of a spat with someone on Facebook. He didn't think there was anything wrong with what Jacob Baslow was doing, because it was about helping paedophiles. And I can't see this. I cannot see this, because when I actually looked at things that he was saying, it was quite disturbing. And it's also normalizing paedophilia rather than, because, you know, it's like anything in life, right? I wouldn't, for example, you don't do certain things, because, you know, you wouldn't do it because that's in your heart, you know, and B, public opinion, C, you'll get arrested. There's a couple of reasons why you wouldn't do something. Now, with paedophilia, public opinion is, you know, is completely nobody, well, I say nobody, but the majority of people are absolutely disgusted with it. So, you know, this can be actually a sanction for someone to sort of act out, or at least, you know, they're not going to be broadcasting it. However, by these paedophiles and these paedophile sympathisers broadcasting it and trying to normalise it as much as possible, well, what's going on there? The sanctions against, you know, for them to not do it, it's just being eroded all the time. So I just don't understand this school of thought at all.
This is why Thatcher wants to lower the age of consent. Because if you lower the age of consent, it brings down the age of paedophilia down.
Yeah.
Simple as that. But we ain't stupid. He's just interested in paedophilia, young boys. He might not be, but I presume he is by his actions.
Well, why else would you want to lower the age of consent? I don't understand, you know? Yeah. I think there was a comment made that it's only for, you know, like they were going to lower it to 14, but it was only for, you know, a 14-year-old with a 14-year-old. Now, that's not a problem anyway. If 14-year-olds are sleeping together, there's never a conviction anyway. There's never been a conviction, but it's never happened. So that isn't the issue. That's not a problem anyway. So why else would you want, well, why would you want to lower the consent to 14? Well, it's to make it children more accessible to groomers without them actually breaking the law. I'm not having that. And I know you're not having it either, Phil. It's absolutely appalling.
I personally think the age should go up, not down.
Yeah, well, you know, at 16, some people are still too immature to do it. And, you know, I'm just going to sort of go, just sort of like talk a little bit about this consent thing as well that they want to teach with the RSC. Teaching children consent, children cannot consent. Consent is a very adult term. We consent to medical procedures, we consent to sex. It's only adults can consent. If children need, like, for example, they have to have an injection or have to have something done, they have to have parents' consent. So it's a very adult term and it is for adults only. By normalising this idea of consent within school children, that's really problematic. And children consenting, or at least thinking they're consenting, is what is causing this huge problem of child exploitation, because they think, you know, 13, 14-year-old child is being groomed and they think that you know, vile person properly loves them and they think that they are in a consensual relationship, but they're not, because children under the age of 16, they cannot consent, full stop. So bringing that into schools, that's also problematic as well. And I'm hearing that over and over again, where people are saying, oh, children have to be able to learn to consent. You don't use that word consent around children, full stop.
Just
what
no.
are you doing to them?
Just no.
Absolutely. It's always a no. These are your private areas, no one touches it, full stop. That's all that needs to be said.
Right. Can we get on to this upcoming Saturday first?
Ah, yes. Our demo. So this is the last demo before the court case. We've been doing a demonstration now every two weeks. And I think this is going to be the biggest one. This is the most important one now because, you know, Saturday before the court, more people are knowing about it as well. So get yourselves down to Cardiff Central. It starts at 2. We're usually there for about 2 hours, aren't we, Phil? Phil's always there filming.
Yeah.
Phil, you've been like part of the furniture with us, haven't you? You've come to every single demo since I can remember.
I try. Well, at the end of the day, if I don't, I would never forgive myself because, yeah, I can go to other demos, I can do this, I can do that. I do go to some, like Jimmy, but when these sort of demos are on and it's for our kids, at the end of the day, if I don't go and support you lot, it's absolutely, what sort of grandparent am I? What sort of parent would I be? If I don't go to these events, obviously other people who don't go to the events need to go to these events to learn need to do the research. They need to listen to the speakers. And this is our very last one. So people need to come to Wales, as well as next week. I know people work, but taking a day off or 2 days off, it's not going to be a major problem. But we need all the numbers. We need people in Cardiff on Saturday. That is the first step. We need people to push out leaflets, as Kim had said. I mean, to talk to other people around the city centre, because the thing is, we've got the media against us.
Yeah,
the media aren't listening to anything we say. They are listening to this woman, mind.
They certainly are, Phil. They are.
Yeah, they listen to Becca Brown, aren't they?
Yeah, so that came out today, didn't it, Phil?
Without any proof. The BBC published that, done an interview with her, and they have absolutely no proof. No proof of what was going on.
Claiming that she's had threats, and I think he was saying that she was worried for her life, and our supporters were saying, well, that certainly hasn't come from us. She hasn't mentioned our group, but I do believe that's what's been insinuated. Obviously, we would never encourage any sort of kind of threat. I do know that some of our supporters have asked her on the issue with RSE, and asked her to look into things, which she should, because she supports
it.
Sorry?
She supports the RSE.
She does support the RSE. And where she's been urged by the public to, sort of look at our side, look at our findings, she's not doing that. And she is meant to be there for the people, isn't she? She's meant to be answering the people's questions.
She's actually lied, because when she's turned around and said, I think the minority, but the majority are behind me on this. She's talking through an absolute bumhole, because at the end of the day, right, she's only voted into one of the strictest towns in Wales. Now supporting a sex education, this town was only started alcohol there in 1982, folks. Just remember, this is a very strict town on a Sunday drinking. They only just started Sunday drinking in 1982, because they're full of Protestants and they're so strict, folks. And this woman is being voted in, and she's supporting the RSE. Do you mean she's supporting research which is brought in for the RSE by actually a paedophile? Do you mean Alfred Kinsey is a paedophile? Simple as that. And at the end of the day, if you're supporting RSE, you need your head thought of. I tell you what, she can come on this show anytime she wants, right? She can put her view across. That'd be fine. But I'm telling you this now, you'll be walking off this show, and a lot more people will be seeing that you are a pedo inalienable, or whatever you want to do. I'm losing my rag, I am, because these politicians.
To be fair, I don't know how much she knows about. We can't sort of make assumptions on how much she knows about the RSE, but she has got a duty to look into the concerns. That's my opinion. She has got a duty, and she should be looking into the concerns, because the concerns are valid. We would not have a judicial review happening over this if it was just based on misinformation and propaganda. It just wouldn't happen. And another thing, whether or not it is inappropriate, why are all these people who are meant to be standing up for the people so happy to take away parental rights, knowing that we're all unique as parents and we've all got different values, different religious and philosophical beliefs? Why are they all just so happy for that to happen? None of it makes sense, and they have got to be made accountable for this. And, if they've got a couple of angry people sort of saying a few mean things to them, then what do you expect? I don't know about the threats and that. Like, obviously,
where's the proof?
Where is the proof? And the other thing that she said as well, there has been a lot of public opposition publicly, but I've had a lot of private messages like supporting me and the RSC. What, really? Where's your proof? From Gwynedd? What, Gwynedd, as you just said then, it is probably the strictest county in the whole of Wales when it comes to morals.
It's a town there is, which is where she was voted in. I can't remember the name of the town. But at the end of the day, the BBC have also they should be held liable for this, because they put in their statement, the majority disagree. The majority actually agree with her. Now, the BBC are just telling porkies again. And the only reason why the BBC are saying anything now, suddenly getting off of their high horse regarding the RSE, is because they're supporting the government, as they always do, with a propaganda blinking station that we pay for, same as the government we pay for. And we are paying to take them to court, and we are paying for them to defend against us for the ideology.
It's coming from our taxpayers' money.
Even though the percentage, what was it? First of all, it was 86%. Nobody wanted this.
Yeah, 87, I think.
So you're actually fighting against the people with their own money, even though that you know that the people don't want it.
Yeah, I know exactly. And this is it now. And you know, we've had trolls saying about our fundraiser. Oh, how dare you! What are you doing? You're taking money off people fraudulently. No, we're not.
The government is.
Are there? They've given the money because it's not for us as an organisation. It's to pay for the legal fees for the 5 claimants. Now, those 5 claimants are representing us all. So for people to be saying that, you don't know anything. You don't know anything about this. And everybody that has donated know exactly what they're donating and what it's for, because they're not the ones, you know, if they are, you know, perhaps they would have gone into the courtroom themselves, but instead they're not, but they will, you know, they're being represented in court, because those 5 claimants, they are representing everyone, you know. So all this nonsense that people just come out with, they find a little bit of information, they blow it out of proportion, but they are happy with the Welsh Government spending over 300 million on this curriculum that sexualizes children.
Well, I'm going to be going over the figures that Westminster is going to be spent tomorrow. I'm going to be doing this. So I'm doing another live tomorrow night, and I'm going to be going over the figures of what Sunak is actually spending, and it's mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing what our governments are spending when they should be protecting our children and not putting them at risk, because this education is putting our kids at risk. It
absolutely is. And funny enough, you mentioning Sunak, I can never say his name properly. He actually there was an article out saying about the RSC not being appropriate. So it just goes to show how bad it's got that he's actually had to make that statement that it has to be made age appropriate. Now, I know people they don't trust, you know, those in government, but it does highlight the issues. For example, parents are not allowed to see content from outside agencies. What? So you're putting content in front of my 5-year-old's. I know I haven't got a 5-year-old, but you know my children were 5. You're putting content in front of a 5-year-old's face there, and their parents aren't allowed to see it because it's copyrighted. That's awful. So at least he is outlining the huge issues there. He said about the parents not having an opt-out. That shouldn't be there either. And there was a couple of things as well that he was concerned about with the transgenderism as well, where women and girls' rights, they shouldn't be trumped by a trans right. No one's right should be trumped by someone else's rights. And, you know, with this transgenderism, as you know, there has been issues with men who identify as women. They put on a frock and they say, I'm a woman now, and they want to use the women's changing rooms, which of course is unsafe, because that could be anyone putting a dress on. And there has, of course, as we know, reports of sex offenders actually going into these changing rooms pretending to be women. So, you know, it does happen, and the rights of the safety of women and girls should never be overridden by anyone else's rights. And that's, you know, that's false. That's not being a bigot toward trans. I'm friends with trans, you know, people who are properly through the transition, but our rights should never be trumped by anyone else's, you know, and that's end of.
Could somebody put the fundraiser up, please, folks? Let's go back to the fundraiser. Well done to Kath and Lou on the weekend. For 30
did you see that, Phil?
I saw quite a bit of it, but I had to go to London to Wells on Sunday, so I had to cover it there, doing for the presentation. So I saw quite a bit of it, and well done to the girls because they raised over 5,000 quid.
They did absolutely amazing.
Does that mean we're over 50,000 quid now?
We are over 50. I think we're on about 51 something. I can't remember exactly what it was. Hang on, I've got it. Yeah, I've got it here. 51,346. I have got another £2,000 to put in as well, so that makes it 53,346.
Downhill now.
Exactly.
Downhill.
Yeah. Well, we've still got quite a bit of money to come in from all the fundraisers as well, because last week was fundraising week and there was loads of people who were getting out with their children doing events such as sponsored bike rides. We had sponsored swims, sponsored runs, sponsored scootering. So, you know, we're still waiting for that money to come in. So until everyone, you know, brings in the money, I'm not going to know exactly how much was raised last week. But yeah, it's a lot of excitement last week with the fundraiser. And then, of course, we finished the week off with the amazing Kath and Lou, who did that 30-hour podcast-a-thon. And that was incredible. It was really, really good. And, you know, fair play to them. They made a lot of money, raised a lot of awareness as well within their own communities. So, you know, they did well. They done us proud. So, well done to Kath and Lou. Thank you.
Yeah, they did amazing. I had seen the girls that were out this week protesting as well on Monday. Well done to the Cardiff girls. They were actually...
do you know, the Cardiff girls have been absolutely amazing. They were on Newport Road, weren't they, with their banners, which was, you know, obviously there's a huge, I was going to say footfall, but it's not a footfall really. It's cars going past. And they did do a little video and you heard all the cars beeping as they were going past and that. They would have got a lot of a lot of attention on that day. And we do know the people down in Barry as well. They did do a protest down in the beach, which was amazing. I think they've got another one this Friday, actually. You know, this is what we want. Up in Gwynedd, they've been amazing. You know, we've had Hazel going around with that massive A4, not an A4, sorry, I think it's an A1 size placard, walking around the streets of Gwynedd. So they've been doing extremely well, raising awareness. So we've got all these different groups going around, giving out leaflets, got their banners out. And, you know, people need to be seeing this all the time. Because sometimes when you see something once, you might not necessarily take notice. But if you're seeing it all the time, you're seeing it online, you're seeing it on the streets. We have had Sharon as well, who has been organising the placards to put in your gardens, and they're really effective as well. You know, like if there's a couple of people in one town that have got it, and you know people are passing those houses all the time, then that's going to stick in people's heads. So it's all these really good things to raise awareness, and you know, it's working. We've expanded in numbers, and we're really grateful for all the foot soldiers who are on the ground. They've done us proud, and they've also done the children proud.
I'll put this up now.
You want to say anything, ladies?
Stop RSC! Stop RSC!
Sharon there with a big glowing red Mac.
I know that's Sharon. Stop RSC, and it's peeing down the rain. Poor bugger. Is that Newport Road? I think that's Newport Road, to be honest with you. So I did say if they'd give me a bit of notice, I would have turned up. I mean, just to film it for a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully they'll do it next Monday before the court date.
Oh, to be fair, they've been brilliant, and even raising money as well. Just going around with buckets. I know Rhiannon and Sharon have been massive in this, where they're ruthless. They'll just go around everyone, just saying, "Yeah, we're raising money for this," and just shove the bucket. And this is what they're going to do on the rugby. Now on Saturday, it's the rugby's on. So I know Sharon and Rhiannon and perhaps a few other people are going to be getting down there. I don't actually know what time the rugby starts, but I think they're planning to go down there before it starts, or maybe when they're coming out to, raise awareness. And the thing is, people, a lot of these people coming out of rugby, they are parents. They are going to be concerned. So, it could be a great way of raising funds for the fundraiser. Thank you, Lisa. She's put the fundraiser on there. It's great. You can also go straight to our website, actually, and you can get to the fundraiser link that way. But if you can click on that link, that would be brilliant as well. But yeah, that's what we need now. Everybody raising awareness, giving what you can. If you can only afford £1, just give £1, £10, £20, whatever it is that you can afford. I think we said it was like, it equates to, we need £100,000 target. We are over 50% now, which is great. And we have got more to come in. I'm feeling hopeful now, Phil. I do feel hopeful that we are going to reach that target, because I know in my mind that there is money coming in. And I know we've got a few more sort of incentives to do as well. And we've got the demo on Saturday. We always make quite a bit with the demo anyway, And, with the girls out there with the buckets, with the rugby, I think we could well, achieve at least quite close to the target.
Yeah, so let's put that back up. So it's Cardiff Central train station. That's 2 p.m. onwards. I think the rugby starts at 3 o'clock. It might start a little bit later. So I'm sure the girls will stay a bit later anyway. But you'll have people coming off a train. They'll be going on the pop. I mean, it always happens on International Day. You can have a lot of people there. I think the trains are running. So it's going to be a flow of people all day, going past there.
Well, that'll be great, actually, because a lot of people do catch the train. So if it does start at 3, like where we're outside the train station at 2, we probably will get a really good crowd going past us. So that's music to my ears, Phil, that it starts at 3.
Well, I'm going to find out now.
Okay.
Welsh Rugby. Should have done this beforehand. Welsh Rugby Saturday. So what time are you actually going to start? Because I know it says 2 o'clock.
What are you saying, Phil?
Well, it's pretty obvious, because it don't normally start till about 2:30, does it?
Well, in all fairness, me and Kim have actually got there quite early the last couple of times.
What are you trying to say? I get there late?
What's that?
What are you trying to say? I get there late?
No. You're usually there early, but what we tend to do is we do wait for the crowd to build up a little bit, because I suppose our supporters are so used to us being late that they don't rush to get there for 2 o'clock. So we do know, before we start the speeches, we do normally wait for the majority of people to arrive. So yeah, it does normally start about 2:30, but we'll be getting there for about 2.
Right, don't kick off till 5:30.
Oh gosh, that's late.
Yeah, it kicks off at 5:30, but people are always in Cardiff from around about 2 o'clock onwards anyway. They'll start drifting in, ready. They'll have a few pints, in the pubs, and then the atmosphere will build up like so. You will catch them, definitely.
Yeah. Perhaps we'll all stay on in town a bit longer and see if we can inform some more parents, because a lot of parents still very left in the dark, and that's concerning.
Yeah, I'll be able to give you my times. Probably till about the max I can give you is till 7 or 8, because I've got to be somewhere else for a different live on Sunday. because
Oh,
it's
okay.
Armed Forces Day, isn't it? Remembrance
Oh,
Day.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
right. Well,
so
that's this Sunday, is it?
yeah, so I do cover. I always have covered it for the last 4 or 5 years. So I'll be covering it again this year. So it should be an interesting one. That's what I
Cool.
say. Yeah. Yeah.
Enough said, yeah.
And then hopefully I can get back for Monday. Then hopefully the girls will do a little bit of a protest in Monday. So I'll be filming again on Monday, and then obviously Tuesday and Wednesday, probably Thursday as well. I'll be in Cardiff anyway, so it's going to be busy next week. I'm sure you and Kim are going to be so rammed with stuff which is going on, because yeah, you're gonna have to deal with the media and everything else, isn't it? You're gonna have to.
Absolutely. I think I'm going to need a holiday by the end of next week, but we just don't know what's going to happen afterwards, you know? We don't know if, you know, you sort of like, oh, after the court, oh, will everything slow down and I have a bit of a break? We don't know.
Well, I'm hoping so, because then I have got a demo to go to the following week on the 19th, I think. But obviously, I want this dealt with. I want this over and done with. Obviously, then Kim, who's now, I mean, passed her exam. Well, going to pass her exam. Well, going to pass her exams. Her and Joan, so they can push the organisation forward even further. Do you mean with the sex ed, and they can teach it themselves? Like, do you mean what is appropriate to be taught, not
Yeah.
what a global rollout is by a paedophile, where the researchers come from. As simple as that. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You teach, you know, it's about sort of teaching the teaching the teachers how to safeguard the children. That's what's needed, you know. The teachers need that thorough education. We don't teach the children to be desensitized by sexual information.
Have you just read that? I don't know who said that.
Is that just a rumor, I wonder, that J.K. Rowling is paying close attention to developments regarding... Oh, do you know, I did not know that, but I do know
Right.
that J.K. Rowling has had, because she's been speaking out against this for a long time, hasn't she, against this, in particular, the trans ideology. That's the first I've heard of that. And I hope that rumor is very true, because, well, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. What's that? Got shared from browser.
Somebody, Philip
Oh, Philip Larkin.
I'll
have a chat with him now when I get off.
Well,
I'm dying to know where this has come from.
Yeah, definitely. All right then. So, thank you for jumping on.
You're welcome, Phil. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's not a problem, do you? I always enjoy chat. It's the same as if Kim wanted to jump on. She knows she's welcome to jump on. But she did try to frighten me last night by putting a comment on one of the posts you put up about tonight. She did say, sponsor silence. Yeah. There's no way you girls can keep your mouth shut. There's no way.
She told me when I come on, she said, put a piece of paper up like that saying, I'm doing a sponsored silence. I thought I couldn't do that to you, Phil.
Do you know what? I can remember when Kim actually spoke to Adele the day, because it was actually in Newport. So that was, I'm not sure if Kim did actually speak that day, but I was actually in Newport that day because I filmed her the protest, because it was a COVID protest.
What, the first, are you talking about when we went to Newport, when Adele did that separate protest about the children?
Yeah.
You were there that day, were you?
Yeah, I was there that day, but I just filmed it. I am going to have a look back through my archive to see.
That's what a small world.
Yeah, it is. Because I remember going to Newport for that day, and it was peeing down in rain.
It was, yeah.
And you had the police van with a camera on the top. There's police hidden around and stuff like that. And yeah, I remember that day quite well. Like, I remember because Adele spoke that day for definite. I don't know if Kim did.
She did speak that day. Yes, she did. She did speak. And
I might have actually recorded it then.
That's bonkers. So you were at a COVID march, and how big was that march?
It was only like 100, maybe 100, just over 100 people there.
Yeah, okay.
And it was
Yeah,
peeing down in rain.
I think that does put people off, doesn't it? Because I'm always surprised with the children's marches. They're never as big as the normal marches, aren't they?
Mm.
People just don't seem to be out in their droves when it comes to the child protection issues. Whereas when it comes to, like, you know, the COVID marches or BLM, bloody hell, they used to be really full, didn't they? You know, but you know, when it comes to children, you would expect everybody to be there, but it's not often the case, you know, which is sad. It is sad, but you know, I think people are waking up to this, so we should have a good crowd on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's for sure.
To be honest with you, they need to get off their arses now. There's no time for keyboard warriors. They need to be off their arses, and they need to be down in Cardiff Saturday, Tuesday, and Wednesday Saturday this week and Tuesday and Wednesday next week. There's no doubt about it. They need to be off their arses.
Come rain or shine. Come rain or shine.
Yeah,
if I can go out in the rain, you know, I'm Italian by blood, aren't I? If I can go out in the cold and the rain, then you can too.
Saturday is good weather. I don't know about Tuesday and Wednesday yet, but we'll find out. Anyway, hopefully we'll be inside for that.
We'll see. Depending on how many can get in there, I suppose. Oh, well, Phil, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for tonight, and also thank you for always being there as well.
It's a pleasure, and I'll see you Saturday.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Lucia.
Saturday. Bye, everyone. Thank you for watching.
Right, folks. So so you need to get down to Cardiff Saturday at, let's put this up. There you go. Cardiff Central train station, Saturday, 12th of November, 2 p.m. onwards. So it'll probably, I know there's people are going to be going down there early because they're going to be giving out leaflets around Cardiff city centre and informing other people what's going on, because actually the media have been against us, and the media are still at it, folks. I mean, they're not being fair on this. We actually pay for the BBC and the likes of ITV and all that. We pay for them, and we don't get nothing in return. They just work for the puppets of the puppet masters of the politicians, do as they're told, and the politicians are just puppets. I mean, they do as they're told by the elite, and that's the way it's been. And I think it's about time we stopped it all, to be honest with you, because it's just ridiculous. Right, the review is on the 15th and the 16th. That's next Tuesday and Wednesday. I would, if you're coming down to Wales, try and book a hotel for Tuesday and Wednesday. If anybody just stuck for a bed, I have got one spare bed, like so. If you want to stay the 2 nights, you're most welcome to. I mean, if you want to stay a bit longer, that's up to you. Just give me a PM, and I'll see what I can do, folks. I'm sure there's people around Wales who will put you up if you're coming down for a couple of days as well. So we need your support, folks. We need your support, and I am trying to be on tomorrow night as well, but that is for something else. I'm trying to get Sean Morris on. I've still got this blinking chest infection. I'm going to try and get Sean Morris on if I can, and we'll go over a few other things. What's happening in Parliament and stuff like that regarding these corrupt politicians. We'll have a little bit of a rant, me and Sean. You know Sean, he no holds barred with him, so we'll see what goes on. Right, folks, thanks for watching, thanks for sharing, thanks for the admin, and I'll probably see you all tomorrow. If not tomorrow, it'll be Saturday. Okay, folks. Good night all, and I'm going to play you off with Darren's Rap, and I'm bound to get a blinking warning for playing music. Good night all.
Okay, picking it up here in Wilmington, North Carolina, right at the Intercoastal, and we're in one of these bands.
So that's Mike Seidel in Wilmington, North Carolina, but as he races and fights to win Friday, check out the 2 guys who seem to walk right by him in the background there, no trouble
is amusing. Other people choosing the topics I can view and the subjects I can chew on, the facts that I can spew and the news they put their slew on. Twisty, turny, wriggly, wormy, squealy, squirmy news. Psychopathic journalists deceiving with their views. Tightening like a tourniquet, they're aiming to confuse. Nightly negative narratives narrating you the blues. Blues and twos, due to booze, the pasta's all sold out. The hurricane's incoming and the world is dying out. Asteroids, blasteroids, steroids in their tails. The windiest ever windy gales are blowing in the dales. The sea levels are rising at a super duper rate. 247 365, the caliphate's your fate. Tidal waves are waving like the death rays from the sun. Duck and cover, stand your ground, there's nowhere else to run.
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing, and indeed it has. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy.
Writing, fighting, to publish stuff exciting. Losing is amusing, other people choosing the posts that I can post and the documents I can read from, the info I can feed from, the facts the checkers get wrong. Sleazy, slimy, geeky, grimy, blackout, soulless tech, concluding with a clickety-click what's wrong and what's correct. Politically encouraged with protection from the law. They're getting pretty ruthless now, they panicking for sure. Scrubbing out the info like a scrubber in a tub, deleting the derogatory of the members in their club. Documents and studies disappear without a trace. Psychopathic moral, unless they're doing it in your face. The info is erasing at a super duper rate. Breach community standards, your account will feel a fate. Post a funny meme means that you hate and are extreme. No chance of an appeal cause you're white and so supreme. Doctors, nurses, scientists and servants, real boys made from wood, covering for the poor. Anything of interest gets filed in recycled bin. Algorithms algorizing the content that you post, collecting information, long-term storage with a host. Five Eyes keeping eyes on you, they're eyeing up your speech, using legal loopholes to conduct a data breach. Unqualified assessors banning stuff they do not like. Since early 2020 this has reached a massive spike. You're swimming in a dirty swamp, the swamp is full of